Remember the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason and plot. I see no reason why gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. That familiar rhyme has echoed through English history for more than 4 centuries, a warning, a celebration and a reminder of the night that England came within moments of catastrophe. On this day in history, the 5th of November 1605, early in the reign of King James I, a man named Guy Fawkes was caught red-handed in the cellars beneath Westminster. He was guarding 36 barrels of gunpowder, enough to reduce the whole Palace of Westminster to rubble. The plan was chillingly simple. Blow up the House of Lords during the state opening of Parliament, killing the King, the Lords and Bishops, and anyone else of importance. It was nothing less than an act of terrorism, an attempt to destroy the Protestant government in one devastating explosion. But the plot failed. And to understand why this plot ever came about, we have to go back to the closing years of Elizabeth I's reign. When Elizabeth came to the throne in 1558, she promised tolerance, famously declaring that she had no desire to make windows into men's souls. But that hope of religious peace just didn't last. In 1570, Pope Pius V issued a bull of excommunication, releasing English Catholics from obedience to Elizabeth and urging them to rebel against her. It placed loyal Catholics in an impossible position: obey their queen and risk excommunication, or obey Rome and risk death for treason. Elizabeth's government responded with harsh laws. Catholic priests were hunted down, those who harboured them were executed, and practising the old faith became perilous. Plots like the Ridolfi, Throckmorton and Babington ones only convinced the Crown that Catholics were the enemy. When King James VI of Scotland inherited the English throne in 1603, Catholics were hopeful. James was, after all, the son of Mary, Queen of Scots, a Catholic martyr to many. His wife, Anne of Denmark, was Catholic too. At first, things looked promising under King James I. He relaxed some of Elizabeth's penalties against recusants, but it didn't last. Protestant opposition forced him to reverse those policies within a year. To English Catholics, this felt like betrayal, a broken promise of peace. And one man, Robert Catesby, decided that words weren't enough. In May 1604, Catesby gathered a group of disillusioned young Catholics, including Thomas Percy, Thomas Winter and Guy Fawkes, a soldier recently returned from fighting for Spain in the Low Countries. Their goal was extreme: kill the king, Parliament and the Protestant leadership in one blow, and replace James with his young daughter Princess Elizabeth, who would be raised as a Catholic queen. Thomas Percy, who served in the king's bodyguard, conveniently leased a house next to the House of Lords. At first, they tried digging a tunnel beneath Parliament, but when the Black Plague delayed the parliamentary session, they discovered something even better: a vacant undercroft directly beneath the Lord's chamber. It was leased in Percy's name, and into it the conspirators carried 36 barrels of gunpowder, enough to level the entire palace and much of Westminster itself. Everything was in place until late October 1605, when one of the plotter's relatives, Lord Monteagle, received an anonymous letter warning him not to attend Parliament. The letter urged him to retire himself into the country, for they would receive a terrible blow this Parliament. Monteagle took the letter to Robert Cecil, the King's chief minister. Cecil brought it to King James, who ordered a search of the cellars beneath Westminster. Just after midnight on the 5th of November, the guards found a man calling himself John Johnson, in reality Guy Fawkes, surrounded by barrels of gunpowder. He was arrested on the spot. Under torture in the Tower of London, Fawkes eventually confessed, naming his fellow conspirators. Catesby and several others fled north, attempting to spark a Catholic uprising, but they were cornered in Staffordshire and killed in a shootout on the 8th of November. The survivors were tried and executed in January 1606, hanged, drawn and quartered for treason. When news spread that the king had survived, Londoners celebrated with bonfires. James ordered that every 5th of November should henceforth be marked as a day of thanksgiving for the deliverance of the realm, a law that remained in place until 1859. And that's how Bonfire Night began. Over time, fireworks replaced the original gunpowder, effigies of the Guy replaced the plotters, and the political fury gave way to autumn festivities, parkin, toffee apples, and sparklers lighting the dark. But behind the celebrations lies a grim reminder of what might have been an explosion that could have changed the course of British history forever. The Gunpowder Plot wasn't just a failed act of terror, it was the last gasp of a century of religious division, born from the turmoil of the Tudor Reformation. If you'd like to learn more about how England's Catholics lived and suffered during Elizabeth's reign, I highly recommend Jessie Child's brilliant book, God's Traitors, and also the mini-series Gunpowder starring Kit Harington. Not entirely accurate, but it certainly captures the tension of the times. I'm Claire Ridgway, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe and ring the bell for more deep dives into Tudor and early Stuart history. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.